So, this is a Nodachi. But what is a Nagamaki and how can you tell them apart? Hello number ones, welcome back to my channel. This is the Metatron speaking. Today we're going to talk about a very peculiar Japanese weapon, the Nagamaki. So what is a Nagamaki? Well, a Nagamaki is a Nihon to, so it is a Japanese sword. Although we must say that it would perfectly qualify, and basically does qualify into the realms of polearms. It is a very long weapon. What makes a difference between a Nagamaki and a Nodachi, as you can immediately see, is the length of the hilt or the handle. Now, there aren't exact measures, meaning that yes, the blade should be between 2 to 4 shaku, which basically translates into 60 to 120 centimeters, and the handle should also be similar, so between 2 to 3 shaku, so we're talking about 60 to 90 centimeters. But let's say that there was more freedom in ancient Japan as far as the length of the handle and the blade were concerned for the Nagamaki. What really makes a Nagamaki is the fact that the hilt and the blade are very similar in length. So this makes it into a hybrid weapon between a Nodachi and a naginata. Nagamaki belonged to the mid-Kamakura period, although it is quite possible that Nagamaki were also used as early as the Heian period, and they were definitely continued to be used until the Muromachi period. So apparently the Nagamaki evolved from very long Nodachi. Now, owning a very long Nodachi myself, considering that my Nodachi is almost 1.80 meters, it's 1.77 meters I think, or something like that, roughly speaking. I have to say that considering the ratio of the hilt of a Nodachi compared to the length of its blade, it is difficult to wield, so I can understand why they actually have decided to sacrifice part of the length of the blade to gain more hilt. I have never handled or wielded a Nagamaki, but I must imagine that it must be easier to wield than a Nodachi. If I do happen to manage to get a reproduction of a Nagamaki, I will definitely make a comparison video. But let me know if that's something you would be interested to watch. So if we wish to find an equivalent in European warfare, probably such a peculiar weapon could only be compared to a spetum or spitum. I'm not actually sure how to pronounce this in English, but in Italian it would be spiedo da guerra. A very peculiar weapon that I will address in a subsequent video. So what was this weapon used for? Well, similarly to the Nodachi, it was an anti-cavalry weapon, mostly used by infantry to contrast cavalry. And it was supposed to be used with very wide, large motions. And it was single-edged. Now, what's important about the wielding method of a Nagamaki? It is important to say that regardless of the fact that it's technically a polearm, the Japanese did teach to use it and particularly hold it like you would a tachi, a Nodachi, odachi, etc. Meaning that the right hand should always be on top and closer to the hilt. You do not switch hands when you change stances, as you would do with the naginata. So this is a big difference between naginata usage and Nagamaki usage. Nagamaki is still closer to a sword in the way it was supposed to be wielded. So who made use of Nagamaki? So as we know, Ashigaru, so infantry, samurai, ronin, ninja, possibly sohe, which translates to Buddhist war monks, and yamabushi, which translates into ascetic hermits. Now, in conclusion, a few interesting fun facts. Fun fact number 1. If you look at the Lord of the Rings series, the High Elves use weapons which are very similar to the Nagamaki in their armies. In fact, the only difference, considering the length of the blade and considering the length of the handle and the fact that the blade is single-edged, probably the only difference is the slightly S shape of the blade. Fun fact number 2. Sir alone, a samurai character in the Dark Souls 2 video game, uses a Nagamaki. And an interesting thing to say is that apparently if you defeat this character within 5 minutes without being hit, he will perform harakiri. It's actually quite curious because harakiri historically was performed with the wakizashi, because even the katana would be a bit too long, so I can't even fathom the idea of performing a harakiri with a Nagamaki. But still, it's epic, so we'll forgive that. Fun fact number 3, the Nagamaki was the favorite weapon of the warlord Oda Nobunaga. Fun fact number 4, the feudal Japanese warlord Uesugi Kenshin had a whole special guard armed with Nagamaki. To give you a little historical perspective, we are talking about the daimyo of the Echigo province in Japan. Alright then, I hope that you enjoyed this video, and if you liked it and you like very big swords, please thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more content from the Metatron. And remember, the Metatron has spread his wings. Goodbye.